P3, 4.3. Jim got off the school bus and looked around. The city was so different from the ranch. Jimmy and his family used to live on Grandpa's cattle ranch in Central Florida. Grandpa retired and sold the ranch. The whole family had just moved to the city where Jim's dad had a new job. Jim missed the grazing cattle on the ranch. He missed seeing the wild animals. He had especially liked to wander around and watch birds. Grandpa had an old pair of field glasses that Jim used to get a closer look. "I won't see much wildlife around here," thought Jim sadly. When Jim got home from school, Grandpa was still unpacking boxes. Jim began to help. From one box, Jim pulled out Grandpa's field glasses. "We won't need these anymore," he said. "Don't be so sure," Grandpa said. "I may be wrong, but I think you're in for a surprise." "What?" asked Jim. "You'll see," said Grandpa. "There's a small lake nearby. We can go there tomorrow after school." The next afternoon, Grandpa and Jim decided to go to the lake. "Let's take the field glasses with us," said Grandpa. The lake was behind a small shopping center. Surrounding the lake were houses and other buildings. There was also a tall, thin tower. "It's not exactly a wonderful wilderness area," said Grandpa, smiling at Jim's disappointed face. "But let's see what's here." They watched herons wading in the water and other birds flying overhead. "Let's see if we can find any nests," suggested Grandpa. There were not many trees. Jim looked at them carefully through the field glasses. "I don't see any nests," he said. Grandpa pointed to the top of the tower. "Look up there, Jim," he said. Jim looked puzzled, but he raised the field glasses again. On top of the tower was the biggest nest he had ever seen. Then Grandpa said, "Now look right overhead, quickly." A very large bird was gliding over the tower. "Wow," said Jim. "What's that?" "That," said Grandpa, "is a bald eagle. It's our national bird. There's a fairly large population of bald eagles in Florida, but I never saw one on the ranch." The eagle landed in the nest on the tower. Jim couldn't take his eyes off the huge dark bird with the white head and tail. "Wow," he said. "I can't believe we have bald eagles on a tower in the city." Grandpa laughed. "Eagles like to nest in high places," he said. "There aren't many tall trees here, so that tower probably looks good to an eagle. There's less wilderness than there once was, so eagles are making homes in surprising places." Jim grinned and said, "I think you knew all along that we would see a bald eagle here." "How did you know?" "There's an organization with an Eagle Watch program," Grandpa explained. "Eagle watchers keep an eye on nests and report what they see. Sometimes watchers find new nests. Sometimes they even rescue eagles that have been hurt by storms." "Could we be eagle watchers too?" asked Jim. "You bet," said Grandpa. "I've already signed us up. We'll come here whenever you wish, as long as you do your homework first. Bring your new friends too." Jim and Grandpa visited the lake often. Jim brought his new friends, Michelle and Raoul. They learned that bald eagles often use the same nest year after year. They watched a pair of bald eagles add more sticks to the nest on top of the tower. That big nest is getting even bigger. By late fall, the female eagle had laid a clutch of eggs and was sitting on the nest. "Look," said Jim. "Here comes her mate with a fish from the lake." About 5 weeks later, 2 baby eaglets hatched. At first, the eaglets were covered with fuzzy, gray down. Next, they got a second coat of down and finally, real feathers. It was fun watching the eaglets try to fly. Unlike some birds that learn to fly right away, eaglets must work at it. They have to practice to get it right, said Grandpa. The eaglets got better at flying, but for a while, they still returned to the nest to be fed. Finally, the young eagles learned to soar over the lake, swoop down, and catch their own fish. In the summer, Jim joined a baseball team with his new friends, but he still made time to come to the lake. He and Grandpa were looking forward to next fall, when they would be eagle watchers once again.